When using the remote to unlock the car, the flush-mounted door handles automatically pop out, similar to the Jaguar F-Types we've looked at recently. You press your thumb and grab the outer end to open. After closing the door, you simply lock it by pressing the handle back flush with the body. This example is finished in blue Cephas, a beautiful pearl effect that looks stunning in person. The Spyder will be available in 11 standard colors along with additional options through the Ad Personam individualization program, including 5 matte variants. Inside, there's 5 trim choices available, including leather Alcantara combinations. Here you'll find a matching Sportivo bicolor interior with blue Cephas and narrow Ade Napa leather. So to start, all you have to do is just make sure you have the key fob within the interior, then simply put your foot on the brake, look in the console and flip up this little red cap, then hit the button to go. The Huracán features a speed-proportional electro-hydraulic steering system with the option of Lamborghini Dynamic Steering or LDS. The latter offers varying ratios from 9:1 to 17:1 compared to the standard 16.2:1 ratio. Quickening or relaxing the steering is necessary based on speed of travel and which drive mode you have the car set to. At speeds below 31 miles an hour, the steering provides more assistance to aid in low-speed maneuvers. On the other hand, at speeds greater than 62 miles an hour, there's less assistance for more precise maneuvers such as lane changes on the highway. Out on the track, the steering feels wonderful, very responsive and quick. One big change over the Gallardo is the steering wheel itself. It still features a 3-spoke flat-bottom design, but the Huracan's looks and feels more aggressive while incorporating a slew of multifunction controls and various hexagonal cues. Like Ferrari's human-machine interface approach, all of your necessary driving controls have now been relocated from the stalks on the column to be mounted on the steering wheel itself. On the upper spokes, you'll find a toggle lever for the turn signals and high beams to the left, with your wipers and windshield washer to the right. Even though the Gallardo had a much simpler buttonless steering wheel, the Huracan's is far more ergonomic once you get used to it. I love the control placements, all easy to see, no guesswork needed, especially when driving on the track. The change-up also allowed for the use of larger paddle shifters. Drive modes have become a common element to any modern sports car regardless of the price point. Same goes for the Huracan. Its system, dubbed Anima, is composed of 3 modes: Strada, Sport, and Corsa. They're selected via the red toggle switch in the bottom spoke of the steering wheel. Strada is Italian for road and is relatable to a comfort mode or day-to-day default setting. Sport dials things up a bit while opening up the dual-mode exhaust. Corsa, or Race in Italian, tunes the car for the highest levels of performance and handling best experienced on the track. Anima stands for Adaptive Network Intelligent Management and regulates a whole host of systems from transmission programming, engine and throttle response, to the speed of the optional variable ratio steering, stiffness of the optional magnetor logical dampers, and settings for the all-wheel drive system. Anima also means soul in Italian, a seemingly appropriate choice as no matter what mode you're in, the car delivers a distinct personality, seamlessly adapting the systems to deliver an impressive level of driver engagement relative to the mode. In Strada, the steering is lighter and gear changes are performed automatically with the end goal of better fuel economy. When equipped with magnetic ride control, the shocks are set to their softest setting while stability control is in full effect. When switching to Sport or Corsa, the steering firms up, the exhaust becomes louder, the shocks firm up, and gears are held longer while in automatic mode. The transmission also feels more responsive with quicker gear changes and rev matching downshifts, accompanied by incredible exhaust crackles. Of course, you have the option of selecting gears manually regardless of the mode, but in Corsa it defaults to manual shifting. The Huracan features a 7-speed dual-clutch automated manual transmission known as Lamborghini Doppia Frizione or LDF. It offers a huge performance and drive quality advantage over the Gallardo's single-clutch 6-speed e-gear automated manual. It's similar in design to the S-tronic gearbox in Audi R8, albeit slightly modified for Lamborghini's application. LDF is a far more responsive gearbox than its predecessor with quicker shifts and almost zero interruptions in power between gear changes. The transmission supports both full auto and manual shifting via the large but thin paddles mounted to the steering column. To place the car into drive or first gear, you simply pull on the right paddle. Pull both paddles towards you simultaneously to place it in neutral. You can switch between auto and manual by the M button in the center console. P puts the car in park, while reverse is engaged by pulling up on the lever labeled R. There's front and rear parking sensors along with a standard backup camera that shows up in the new reconfigurable 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster. It allows you to go between a full speedometer or tachometer, the infotainment system, or a combination of the two. You go between the display modes by a small bank of buttons to the bottom left of the steering wheel. At the rear, a standard mechanical limited slip differential allows for more fine-tuning of torque transfer and greater traction. Launch control is standard, activated by switching the vehicle into Corsa mode and disabling stability control. Once you do that, press the brake with your left foot and simultaneously hit the accelerator with your right foot. The car will rev and hold around 4,500 RPM. Then release the brake while still holding the throttle for maximum takeoff. When starting the car, you can actually do it two different ways to take advantage of the dual-mode exhaust system. The default startup is always in Strata mode. If you want to turn on accessory power by just hitting the starter button without having your foot on the brake, you can select Sport or Corsa to go ahead and open up the exhaust for a louder startup, especially on cold starts. The dual-mode exhaust system features vacuum-actuated bypass valves that keeps the car relatively quiet if you desire. In Strata, it opens automatically at 4,200 RPM, while remaining fully open in both Sport and Corsa modes. I also filmed the 2015 Huracán Coupe with the optional racing exhaust that you can order through Lamborghini's Accessory Originale program if you want to check that out more to compare. The link can be found in the top right hand corner of this video. In general, the car sounds incredible with snarls, crackles, and pops. We'll get more detailed sound clips including cold starts later in the video, but first let's go ahead and start it in Corsa mode so you can compare the Strata start that you heard earlier. So let's go ahead and flip on the automatic full LED headlamps and tail lamps, rear fog lamps, as well as the hazards. Of course, both side windows are fully automatic and they're controlled via the outer toggles. So let's go ahead and check out the exterior. Last year, Lamborghini introduced the all-new, highly anticipated replacement for the Gallardo. With just over 14,000 units produced, it was the highest volume Lamborghini ever, making up about half of the brand's total sales since 1963. It basically opened the doors to a wider spread of clientele with a smaller, more affordable alternative to the Murcielago, first launching back in 2004. With some pretty substantial shoes to fill, its successor had to be much more than an evolution of the Gallardo, but a completely new vehicle to ensure its competitiveness with the next generation of supercars. As in Lamborghini tradition, the Huracán receives its name from a Spanish fighting bull. It translates to Hurricane. LP610-4 tells the rest of the story. LP stands for Longitudinale Posteriore, meaning the longitudinal engine is mounted behind the seats just ahead of the rear axle. 610 refers to the car's metric horsepower rating, a 50 horsepower increase over the Gallardo LP560-4. Torque sees a modest bump by 15 pound-feet. 4 refers to 4 driven wheels or all-wheel drive. Lamborghini also recently unveiled the Huracán LP580-2, a rear-wheel drive model with 580 horsepower that should be hitting the streets soon. Where the Huracán in general begins to distinguish itself from the Gallardo is an all-new hybrid chassis that combines aluminum and carbon fiber, unlike the previous aluminum space frame. The Huracán's powertrain has also been significantly upgraded over the Gallardo to create a more well-rounded offering in terms of performance and handling, all while boosting efficiency and fuel economy. Part of the enhancements include the engine's new IDS fuel injection system, otherwise known as Inizione Diretta Stratificata. It's unique in that it combines both port and direct fuel injection for improved top-end power, economy, and emissions. We'll talk more about the engine in just a bit. Underneath the seductive aluminum and composite bodywork, the Huracán structure is based on Volkswagen Group's latest modular sports car architecture that'll also provide the base for the next-generation Audi R8. Unlike the carbon fiber intensive structure of the Aventador, the Huracán is based around aluminum. However, carbon fiber does make its way to key areas such as the central tunnel, B-pillars, part of the side sills, rear bulkhead, and the X-shaped brace over the engine bay. The chassis alone weighs less than 440 pounds while boosting torsional stiffness over the Gallardo by 50% for the Coupe and 40% for the Spyder. According to Lamborghini, the Huracán Spyder's dry weight is claimed to be 1,542 kilograms, or 3,399 pounds, which would make it around 265 pounds heavier than the Coupe and a little less than 50 pounds heavier than the Gallardo Spyder. The Spyder features a new electro-hydraulic soft top that's both lightweight and high quality. It's available in 3 colors, black, brown, and red, and increases overall vehicle height by a little more than half an inch over the Coupe. By a small button in the center console, the top opens in as little as 17 seconds, an action that can be performed at speeds up to 31 miles an hour. It's stowed underneath the tonneau cover behind the seats just ahead of the engine to preserve the car's center of gravity. When down, there's a pair of hidden pop-up safety bars that automatically will deploy in the event of a rollover. One particular element I like is the small electric window between the 2 raised humps. It can be raised or lowered independent of the top. For example, when raised, it works to negate wind buffeting when the top is down. Another example is when the top is up, you can lower it to allow even more sound from the V10 to fill the cabin. McLaren also offers something similar to this on the 650S Spyder. When lowering the top, you'll notice two black fins that extend out to create a bridge between the seats and the tonneau cover, continuing the roofline to the rear. As far as the styling, not much has changed in the transition aside from the roofline and rear deck treatment. Lamborghini's latest design language relies heavily on 3D geometric shapes, specifically hexagons. Look carefully and you'll notice this throughout the exterior, including the headlamps, intake grills, front and rear, door handles, side mirrors, and more. It's quite cool in person. Despite receiving a mid-cycle refresh around 2011, the Gallardo's long 10-year production run had made it a bit long in the tooth. The Huracán is a fresh reinterpretation of its predecessor wrapped up in a more modern and advanced package. Even though it may look smaller, it's actually 4.6 inches longer overall and 1 inch wider. Height remains the same. Front track widens by nearly 1.5 inches, while rear track is about 1 inch wider. Wheelbase stretches by 2.3 inches. The silhouette features a notable increase in curves, flowing lines, and body creases to balance out the angles of its predecessor. It doesn't have quite as simple of a look as before, but it's far more elegant and aggressive. Like the Aventador, it's a work of art that still retains that classic Lamborghini look. In the rear, the body details seem to layer upon each other, highlighted by a satin black lower diffuser and massive quad pipes. Like many cars in this segment, it was designed with aerodynamics in mind. The engine intakes sit on top of the rear fenders, and up front there's air-to-water radiators, while the side skirts I believe channel air to various oil coolers. The underbody is completely flat and features sound-absorbing felt lining in key areas. The large diffuser out back works to create downforce and dissipate air along with a fixed spoiler on the tail end. Compared to the Gallardo Spyder, the Huracán improves aerodynamics by 8%, reduces drag by 3%, and boosts downforce by 50% when the roof is closed, leading to improved high-speed stability and a quieter interior environment. This Huracán features a set of 5 twin-spoke asymmetric forged aluminum wheels, one of 2 standard wheel options. They measure 20 by 8.5 inches in front and 20 by 11 inches in the rear, and are wrapped in custom-designed Pirelli P0 tires, 245/30s in front and 305/30s in the rear. They've been tested to hold just over 1 G of lateral acceleration. To balance the high-performing powertrain, the Huracán comes standard with a high-performance braking system consisting of carbon ceramic cross-drilled and internally ventilated discs at each corner. They measure 15 by 1.5 inches in front and 14.2 by 1.3 inches in the rear, clamped down by 6-piston and 4-piston calipers respectively. The calipers can even be had in a variety of colors based on request. With this setup, the car is able to stop from 62 miles an hour in just over 100 feet. Built-in brake cooling ducts in the front fascia and other key areas of the bodywork help manage temperatures. Supporting the Huracán is a fully independent forged aluminum double wishbone suspension front and rear with coil springs and anti-roll bars. Magnetorological adaptive dampers along with the variable ratio steering can be had at an additional cost. Considering the performance, the car rides surprisingly well. The all-wheel drive system for the Huracán in general is a new electronically controlled system that replaces the Gallardo's viscous coupling system. It's primarily rear-biased, offering a ton of grip. The default torque split is 30-70